Imagine that the moment you were born, a page was torn from the sacred book of your soul. That page contained your origin, your mission, your truth. But it was gone before your first breath. Have you ever felt it? That unshakable emptiness that no success, no love, no achievement could fill. That silent ache, not of the body, but of something deeper. Like you were dropped into a life with no map, no reason, no memory. You go to work. You pay bills. You laugh at the right jokes. But somewhere behind your eyes, a voice whispers, "This isn't all there is." You look around and wonder, is everyone else just pretending they know what they're doing? Because deep inside, something has always felt off. Not broken, just missing. And what if I told you? It is. Not because you failed, but because something was intentionally erased from your memory. Not by accident, not by nature, but by design. You were born into a world that taught you how to function, but not how to be. They told you your name, but not your purpose. They showed you your body, but never mentioned your soul, and so you learned to survive. You learned to smile when you wanted to cry. You learned to stay quiet when your soul screamed for truth. You filled your days with work and your nights with noise, scrolling, numbing, escaping. From what? That question that never dies. Why am I here? You've asked it in the dark. You've whispered it into pillows soaked in tears. You've screamed it into silent rooms where no one answered. And yet, the question keeps returning. Maybe your life looks fine on the outside. Maybe people admire you. But when you close your eyes, there's a longing, not for something more, but for something you once knew. Something ancient, something holy. A memory that slips through your fingers the moment you try to grasp it. You've had glimpses, haven't you? A dream that felt too real. A connection with someone you just met that felt centuries old. A moment of silence where the world paused and your soul whispered, "I remember." But just as quickly, it fades, and you're back. Back in the noise. Back in the fog. Back in the forgetfulness. And still, that voice inside you won't shut up. There's a reason you feel this way. You're not broken. You're not crazy. You're remembering. 1,200 years ago, a manuscript was written, not by scholars or priests, but by mystics, guardians of the soul's ancient path. It was called the CX Animi. It mapped out what happens before birth, what your soul does before it becomes human. It held truths too powerful for the world to hold. Because it taught one dangerous idea. You chose this life. Yes, you. You chose your body. You chose your family. You chose your challenges, not from punishment but from purpose. But this knowledge, it was hidden, burned, buried, because a human who remembers is not easy to control. A soul who knows its origin cannot be manipulated, and so the veil was cast, a veil of forgetfulness. And you've been walking through life like a character in a story who forgot they're the author. But something inside you is waking up. Every question you've asked, every pain you've endured, every tear you've cried was never random. The ache inside you is your soul calling you back. And now, the forbidden book has resurfaced. Its pages were never truly lost, only waiting for you to be ready. If you're hearing this, you didn't find it by chance. Your soul brought you here. You are about to remember the sacred journey you began long before this life, and once you remember, nothing will ever be the same again. There is a silence that speaks louder than words, a pull without hands, a soundless music that travels across the fabric of reality and reaches you, wherever you are. This is the first gate of light, the call. The soul hears it long before the body is ever formed. You feel it sometimes, don't you? That sudden longing for something you can't name. That moment when you cry watching a sunset, even though nothing bad happened. That ache that rises, not from the body, but from something far older. That is the echo of the first gate. It is when your soul, resting in divine stillness, hears the gentle invitation from the universal consciousness. Not a command, not an order, but a question. Are you ready to grow again? And your soul, wrapped in peace and clarity, whispers back, yes, not from ambition, not from ego, but from a sacred yearning to expand, to feel, to love, to fall, to rise. And so begins the journey, your journey. The second gate is not a door, it's a mirror. Not the kind you look into, the kind you feel through. The soul steps into this place of light, and everything becomes still. There is no one pointing fingers, no judge, no punishment, only presence, only truth. And then like a wave it begins. You feel, not see, the life you once lived. You feel what it was like to hug your mother when she was crying. You feel the laughter of your child when you gave them your full attention. You feel the warmth of your love when it healed someone who thought they were broken. But you also feel the silence that hurt someone who needed your voice. The moment you turned away when someone begged for kindness. The impact of words said in anger, and their echo years later. Not to shame you, but to wake you. This is the Sacred Life Review. Not a courtroom, but a classroom for the soul. If you had a chance to live again, what would you carry differently? You as soul are given that chance to choose again, to refine, to grow. And in this raw vulnerability, many souls weep, not from guilt, but from love. Because in this stage you remember, you were never just a victim, never just a hero or villain. You were always a soul in motion, a soul becoming. And now, you're ready to take the next step. The third gate opens, and what greets the soul is not fire, not judgment, but a circle of light. This is the council, ancient, wise, and deeply familiar. Some wear no faces, just glowing presence. Some look like a child you once loved, a mentor who changed your life, a stranger you met only once, but never forgot. And suddenly, you know, you've met them all before. They are not strangers. They are your soul companions, your allies, your mirrors, your challengers. They've played roles in your past lives as mother, enemy, friend, teacher, lover, rival. And now, they sit with you. In stillness, in truth, in love. Not to dictate, but to remember with you. Here, your next incarnation is co-created. You review soul contracts, karmic patterns, unfinished lessons. They ask you, what do you wish to heal next? What light do you want to bring to the world? What fear are you ready to face? Together you map it out, the challenges you'll accept, the people you'll meet, the wounds that will shape you, and sometimes, the hardest agreements are made with the ones who love you the most. I'll be the one who leaves, so you learn how to stand alone. I'll break your heart, so it can open wider than ever before. You don't choose pain out of punishment. You choose it for power. Because this is not just a plan, it's a promise. And before you go, the council reminds you, you are never alone, even when you forget. We walk with you. The fourth gate is quiet, not heavy, not loud, just still. This is where your soul meets the master, a being made of light, older than time, gentle, but unwavering. They look at you as if they've known you forever, because they have. And the master asks, what will you carry into this next life? You don't answer immediately. You wait. You feel. Images rise, memories from lives long gone, a betrayal you never healed, a voice you never used, a dream you buried beneath survival. And then you speak, I want to heal that wound. I want to break that cycle. I want to bring the light I once lost. The master nods. Then you must walk through it again, not around it, through it. I choose it, you say. I choose the pain that will purify me, not because you crave suffering, but because within the wound lies the wisdom, within the fire, the gold. Some souls choose to teach, some to awaken others, some to love fully, knowing they may lose, some to build bridges across generations. Each path is sacred, each purpose unique. And the most beautiful truth? You never choose a mission you're not equipped to complete. All the tools you'll need are already inside you. And before you leave this sacred place, your soul whispers to the Master, I choose the pain, because inside it is the light I came to remember. The fifth gate opens. Before you lies a garden of choices, each shimmering with possibility. This is where you choose your form, your avatar, your entry point into the world. You are not assigned a body. You are offered blueprints. Each one a different lesson, each one a sacred invitation. You scan across timelines. One life, a mother who's emotionally distant. Another, a father who disappears. A body with scars, visible or hidden. A birthplace surrounded by struggle or silence. And in this vast sea of options, you pause, not for the easiest, but for the exact one. The soul doesn't choose perfection. It chooses precision. You point to the blueprint, not the most beautiful, not the richest, but the one that whispers, this will break you open so something greater can rise. You choose the skin that will house your fire. You choose the parents, not for their love or wisdom, but for their triggers, their shadows, their unfinished stories. Because it's in their stories. You'll remember how to rewrite your own. You whisper, they may not understand me. They may not know how to love me, but through them, I will grow. And you look upon your future body, small, fragile, but pulsing with promise. That is the shell that will carry my soul. That is the vessel where I will begin again. And as the gate opens, you take one last look at all you're choosing to forget. Your mission, your light, your truth. And still, you walk forward, because even without memory, your soul remembers. This one thing. I chose not the perfect life, but the perfect life for my evolution. The sixth gate does not shine. It shimmers, then fades. It is not a door. It is a veil, a mist of glowing silence. Soft, but irreversible. This is the final forgetting. You, once infinite, radiant, wise, now stand at the edge of your greatest act of courage. To forget everything you planned, everything you knew, everything you are. Why? Because the soul cannot learn love if it remembers everything. It must choose love again, in the dark. You take a final breath as soul, and then you fall, like a star diving into fog, like a feather, released from the sky, and as you pass through the veil, the memories start to slip. Your mission, your counsel, the ones you chose to meet again, they scatter, like stardust in a storm. The light of who you were dims. You feel cold, small, separate. You hear your first human cry, and forget that you once answered the call of the universe. You open your eyes, and forget that you once chose this path. You learn words, roles, names, but not your essence. You grow up, but something always feels missing, an ache you can't explain, a longing for somewhere you've never seen. But the truth is, you didn't lose your soul. You only agreed to close your eyes for a while, and in rare moments, a dream, a silence, a heartbreak, you feel it, a flicker, a whisper. I've been here before. I know this pain. I chose it. And that moment is the beginning of your awakening, because what was forgotten was never lost. There is a moment beyond language, beyond memory, beyond certainty. It's not a step. It's not a choice. It is a leap. The final gate doesn't open outward. It opens downward, into the dense layers of the human world. This is the leap of faith. Your soul, vast, luminous, eternal, stands at the edge of a great abyss. You know what awaits: a body that forgets, a mind that doubts, a world that won't remember who you truly are, and yet, you leap. Why? Because you remember what so many forget. To truly learn to love again, you must let go of everything and choose it blindly. You dive, head first, heart open. No parachute. No promises, just trust. Falling. Through dimensions, through silence, through the veil. You feel it. Memories peeling away like golden leaves in wind. Every star of wisdom falling like ash. And then, darkness, breath, the cold shock of physical life. You cry, not just because you're a newborn, but because your soul remembers what it just left behind. But even in this moment of separation, a whisper remains. You were once brave enough to forget everything just to remember love from the beginning, and now with every sunrise, every heartbreak, every quiet miracle, that remembering begins. A soul that remembers who it is cannot be controlled. That is the danger. That is the reason. Because when you remember, you no longer obey out of fear. You no longer stay small out of guilt. You no longer trade your truth for approval. And that terrifies the world built on control. From the moment you arrived, the forgetting began. Not just the veil over your soul, but the stories they told you. You're just flesh. You must earn love. You are broken, fallen, not enough. They built systems around these lies. Religions that shamed, governments that divided, families that feared your light, because a human who feels powerless is easy to direct. But a soul that wakes up asks different questions. Who benefits when I feel unworthy? Why was I taught to fear my own intuition? What if my pain was not punishment but purpose? So they buried the ancient texts, burned the stories, mocked the mystics, and called you crazy for remembering, because if you truly knew that you chose this life, that you are eternal, that your suffering holds sacred meaning, then guilt wouldn't work anymore. Fear would lose its grip. The illusion of separation would collapse. You would stop playing small. You would start loving deeply. You would start listening inward instead of obeying outward. And that, beloved, is revolution. That is why they hid it. That is why they erased it. But truth cannot die. It waits, inside you, in your dreams, in your longing, in the ancient whisper that says, you were never lost, just waiting to remember. So now you know. Your forgetting was sacred, but your remembering is possible. And it begins not with force, but with stillness. Let's open 3 forgotten doors, each one a path back to yourself. 1. Meditation. Opening the inner window. Picture this. You sit in silence, eyes closed. The world outside is loud, but inside, you begin to hear something else. A rhythm, a breath, a voice without words. This is meditation, not an escape from life, but a return to the source within it. In the stillness, your mind stops chasing, and your soul begins speaking. Sometimes in images, sometimes in feelings, sometimes in nothing but deep peace. This is how the veil thins. You don't need candles or mantras. You only need presence. Just 5 minutes a day. Close your eyes, breathe, and ask, what part of me wants to be remembered today? Let it come. Let it whisper. Because the soul always speaks. We just forget how to listen. 2. Dream journaling. Following the golden thread. Have you ever woken up with a dream that lingered, a face you've never seen, but feels like family, a place you've never visited, but feels like home? Dreams are not just fiction. They are echoes. In the night, your soul loosens its grip on the body and slips into memory, not just of this life, but others. Dream journaling is like catching butterflies before they vanish. Keep a notebook by your bed. When you wake, write. Even nonsense, you'll be surprised. Patterns appear, messages emerge, and one day, you'll write down a dream that doesn't feel like a dream at all. It will feel like remembering, because it is. 3. Intuition. The invisible compass. Intuition is not a gift. It's a sense, one that's been buried under logic and fear, but it's still there. It's the pull to walk away from someone without knowing why. It's the voice that says, call her, right before she needs you most. It's the idea that comes like lightning at 3 a.m. The more you listen, the louder it becomes. You can practice, pause before reacting. Ask, is this fear or is this truth? Notice your body, tightness or ease. Notice synchronicities, numbers, names, moments. Your intuition is like a thread. Follow it. Sometimes it leads to a job, sometimes a stranger, sometimes back to your soul's origin. But it always leads to alignment. So no, you don't need a guru. You don't need a ritual on a mountain. You just need silence, a pen, a willingness to trust what cannot yet be proven. And in time you'll realize you never truly forgot. You only stopped listening. But now, you're listening again, and the remembering has already begun. You don't have to awaken all at once. You don't need lightning bolts or miracles. You only need a flicker of memory, a flicker of knowing, a flicker of you. Because remembering who you are is not a destination. It's a returning. Slow, sacred, and deeply personal. Some days it will feel like revelation, a dream that unlocks a door, a moment that breaks you open. Other days, it will feel like silence, like nothing's happening. But it is. Healing happens in the pauses. Awakening happens in the softest moments, and your soul remembers even when your mind does not. So don't rush. You are not behind. You are not late. You are right on time. Every time you sit in stillness, you feed the flame. Every time you write down your dreams, you leave breadcrumbs back to your soul. Every time you trust your gut, you say yes to the light within you. Even a tiny candle in the deepest cave can illuminate what was hidden for centuries. And that's what you are, a living flame in a world that forgot how to burn. So protect it, nurture it, trust it. There will be days when you forget again. That's okay. The path is not straight, it spirals. But each time you return deeper. And one day, you'll look back and realize you didn't just remember your soul, you became it again. And that was always the point. If there was a moment in this video that made your chest tighten, if a single sentence made your eyes fill with tears, then know this. It wasn't the words. It was your soul, finally remembering the promises, the light, the courage, the reason you came. You're not broken, you're not lost, you're awakening, and no one can take that away from you again. So now, I ask you, gently but directly, if you feel your soul beginning to remember, like this video as a quiet confirmation to yourself, share it with someone who may be silently searching for themselves. And in the comments, write one thing that touched you the most. A phrase, a memory, a truth that stirred something ancient inside you. Write it not just for us. Write it for you, to declare that, yes, I'm here. I'm listening. I remember. Thank you for choosing to return. Thank you for being brave enough to feel again. Your journey is sacred, and it's only just beginning.